Hello there and welcome to yet another episode of Kaleke's Health Moments. Our guest today is an amazing lady who has created one of the most active and vibrant forums for raising awareness on cancer. This is despite her mother's death from breast cancer.
So my name is Githoitho and I am the CEO of Limau Cancer Connection. Limau means lemons, and I decided to start the organization after I lost my mother to breast cancer in the year of 2017 in June. June 2016 is when I started eating those cancer lemons, which were very bitter through her cancer journey. She was only alive for 1 year, battling stage 3 breast cancer. And I tried finding ways of how I could create a lemonade for my mom's journey. And that is why I came up with the name Limau in Swahili. And for me, the job has been to connect cancer patients with whatever resources that can help them create a lemonade out of their cancer journey. When my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, she went through a mastectomy and she lost her self-esteem. I mean, this is her part of the womanhood. So you can imagine she didn't feel like a woman again. There was something missing. And she also faced a lot of stigma, discrimination in the community, friends taking off. So she moved to the village. She wanted to be away from everybody, in a place where nobody knows that she does not have one breast. And she was not comfortable with me talking about breast cancer. I live in the US, and the lifestyle there is totally different. Like, people talk about cancer all the time, talk about breast cancer. They show off their scars. They have learned how to embrace the scars. And I saw the way the mentality from the patients who have actually fought the disease and now they're warriors, handle the disease. And that's the notion I was trying to have my mom embrace cancer and just be like, yeah, I have breast cancer, but it's not the end of life. But she just was not getting it. So when I came home to visit, she had told me to bring for her fake breasts, a prosthetic. So I bought a $400 prosthetic. This is the silicone prosthetic, and it was her size. When I brought it, I expected her to be like, oh my God, I love it. Now she doesn't have to wear rolled up socks. She used to roll it and it will look like a ball, but she was still looking funny and walking funny. So this actually was fitting better. I thought she'll be so happy, but I remember Christmas dinner, she was serving stew and she bent over to serve and the breast fell into the stew, which was quite embarrassing for her, but we all tried to make her feel like, oh my God, it's all right. So took the boob out of the stew and we continued. But she was quite embarrassed, and after that she just did not like it. Hot weather was making it very sweaty and it's also heavy. So when I went back to the US, I was feeling very hopeless because the boob that was gonna help her regain her self-esteem was not really embraced. She did not embrace it. So I went back to the US and I started searching on alternative prosthetic. What can I do to bring my mom back to the city? So I came across the knitted knockers. These are breast knitted prosthetics that are washable, they are light, and you can wear it with a normal bra. The bra that we usually use, so to avoid the breast coming out and falling out like the way my mom did, it has to be a mastectomy bra. These bras are special bras for breast cancer patients. And the reason why they're special is they have a pocket at the back. This pocket is the one that protects the prosthetic from falling. So this is how it looks like. So you see, even if it bends, it cannot fall off because it's inside a pocket. But with the knitted ones, you don't need this bra. You can wear it with any. So when I brought for her, she loved it. She actually came back to knit with the women. And we sent somebody, one of her friends, to go to Rwanda. She learned how to knit and she came back, taught the rest. So to date, we've donated over 5,000 breast cancer women are wearing Limau boobies. And they have helped these women regain their self-esteem. Number one, they're very popular because they're washable. You can remove the back fiber here, wash it when it's dirty and sweaty, put the fiber back, and then you can pull the string, put it back, and go for your wedding, you know, so they like it. Also, we knit according to the size. There are women who have big breasts, there are those who have small, so we add and decrease the stitches. The yarn is also 100% cotton, so it's very favorable because it goes next to a sensitive scar. And oncologists in the US have approved the knitted knockers. I have been going through around the countries, making sure no woman is walking without her breasts, and bringing them in support groups just to make sure they don't feel like cancer is a death sentence. In those groups, we have oncologists, and they're also online. We have nutritionists. They train the women how to eat well so that way they can live longer. The treatment in Kenya, I think we still have a long way to go with cancer. The private hospitals have been able to treat some cancers, but the ratio is still very small. Look at the population of Kenya. 65% are living below poverty, and those are the ones who attend our public institutions. The public institutions, I can guarantee you, like Kenyatta, has some of the best doctors, but the situation is not good. The doctors are not happy because there's some systems and infrastructure that the government has not put in place in terms of training more oncologists. The oncologists also think the students are afraid to learn oncology. I think cancer is quite a very sensitive and needs a big heart to do it. Ministry of Health does not have their act together, if you ask me, in terms of cancer treatment. First of all, there's a lot of corruption. There's cartels that manipulate this country. In terms of pharmaceutical industries, there are doctors who are on a payroll of pharmaceutical industry where they come, they market the drug, and the doctor prescribes the drug to the patients, and they get kickbacks out of it. So that has been happening, and until we can learn how to have proper ethics where doctors are putting the patients first. There's quality control of medicine. There's all this fake medicine in the country. There's also the issue of expired medicine being brought back into the market. It's been quite a sad situation. There's a lot of misdiagnosis cases. I have a platform of very, very vocal cancer patients. And at first when we started, they were not very vocal because they feared to be victimized. And I had to pump it out, and find out how can these patients express themselves in a way that, what is the next solution? Because when the government is seeking questions and answers, they'll go to the hospital leaders. And those are the cartels that we're talking about. If they need real-time answers, they need to go and talk to the grassroots. We are the grassroots. We speak for the patients. We know what is going on the ground. Corruption, cartels are not going to make this country go forward. So if we have to fix the system, we'd like a system where there's a lot of empathy, where patients are being seen as humans and not ATM machines. The doctors, private hospitals are collaborating with insurance companies and literally depleting patients' insurance cover. And once this patient has been treated in a private hospital and insurance is over, they're sent back to a public institution. Kenyatta right now has a backlog of patients who used to be treated in public institutions, and they can no longer afford to continue being treated there. So we have a long way to go. With the many cases of misdiagnosis, we're finding patients being treated for diabetes. I think there was a story today on the platform of the mom being treated for diabetes and finally dying of cancer. And this is not at the public institution, it's in private sector. So I don't know, there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of bureaucracy, there's medical equipment that is stuck at the port, which has not been released, and if we had more of this equipment, this will actually even lower the cost of treatment. Kenyatta needs enough radiotherapy machines. I was in Kisumu the day before yesterday, and it's quite embarrassing that such a county that has a leader who has been a cancer warrior does not have a radiotherapy machine. You will think this is one of the biggest priorities someone will have because they have walked that journey. But that's not the only leader we are seeing. We've seen a lot of our government officials who leave the country to go get treated abroad because we don't have the proper diagnostic machines here. So they trust abroad more than their home country, even when they are seated in positions of Ministry of Health where they could fix the system. They don't do anything about it. We need to invest in proper diagnostic machines. We need to see how to work with doctors who are working in public hospitals, get well paid. They're underpaid and they're overworked. Women face more stigma than men. Number one, cases of breast cancer. We've seen women who lose their self-esteem because they don't have breasts. In Mombasa, they were telling me as we're traveling around the country, we've been collecting cancer stories. And what we've been hearing is every county, every city has a different story. We go to Nyeri and I asked the ladies, where do you think your cancer came from? They said it's this Safaricom masks that are causing cancer. I think the radiation effect. We went to Mombasa. They said, sisi tulirogwa huko. Bibi yangu, watoto wangu, wote wako na cancer. You know, so they believe they have been bewitched. And when they look at the members of the family who have cancer, nobody's talking about genetic testing. It can be hereditary. Your mom had it, I'm a high risk. My mom's sister, my auntie, has breast cancer. She's been a survivor for 15 years. And, you know, so I'm a high risk. But in Kenya, they don't do the BRCA test. These are the tests that they do to ensure that you've gone through the breast cancer. If you have they test for the breast cancer genes in your system. So luckily mine turned out negative. And this is the education that people need. We also have some tests that are being sent to South Africa, and yet we are in a country that can be able to afford and, you know, properly equip our labs to, you know, to do that. So I don't know where we're lacking. We need good leaders. So Embu, there's a group of a few women who have cervical cancers. Cervical cancers come with discharge that is smelly. So you can imagine if you're with your husband, that's a marriage that's literally going down the drain. But there are things that you really cannot help. And we have seen marriages crumble because of that. And not just women who are married, single women, you can't date when you have not been fixed, right? And even if you're dating, the boyfriend takes off. If you have breast cancer, we've seen young girls whose boyfriends are leaving them because now they have one breast and they feel like the men don't want anybody who has one breast. The marriages that have really been standing strong, I'm seeing it's the men who are really into this disease and are standing with their wives. But the community also is not, you know, it has been playing that stigma role where you don't want to be associated with somebody who has one breast. Think about the transportation mode. They have to go for chemo. They have to get into the matatus. Some of these people have stage 4 breast cancers and the wounds have burst open and they're smelling. So that's the self-esteem is gone. There's depression that kicks in. Cancer feeds on stress. They don't live for long. They're dying in less than 6 months. Somebody's gone with stage 2 that could have been saved. We have the quack doctors who are operating illegal clinics in the slums. We have cancer centers that are sprouting everywhere now. And there's no auditing in this, you know, you can just go open a clinic and start doing surgeries without proper diagnostic, you know. And we're seeing a lot of biopsies being done in their stage 4s and it's too late. The patients can only be on morphine. There is options for alternative treatment to cancer. Not everybody goes for chemotherapy and radiotherapy treatment. It works for some, it does not work for some. We have seen like a lot of patients die after chemotherapy, after finishing all the treatment. We are seeing a lot of reoccurrences, you know, this person battled. Now we have a patient on the platform who had leg cancer, finished all her chemo, radiotherapy, and now 2 years ago it moved to the lung. Now she became a lung cancer patient. She started again chemotherapy. She went again to, she finished her radiotherapy treatment and being declared cancer-free, you know, the whole excitement. Well, last week, stomach pains, biopsy, stomach cancer. Would you expect that patient to go back to the chemotherapy, radiotherapy? They will definitely seek alternative medication. This alternative medicine is not for everybody, and the chemotherapy is not for everybody. So our job as Limau is to put the information out there, and you, the patient, and the families get to select what mode of treatment suits the patient, because it all starts with your mindset.
Nancy's plans for cancer in this country are very big. So big are her plans that not even cancer is going to get into her way. This has been Kaleke's Health Moments, living healthy one story at a time. Please subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below so that we can interact with you. You can also like this video and visit our website kalekehealth.com.